right, good morning, everybody, on a beautiful Tuesday, June 15th. For those of you who are back in person, welcome back. We are going to learn how to figure out how to deliver this both virtually and in person. So we appreciate your patience while we figure out, just as we did last March when we had to go 100% virtual. And we had some hiccups along the way to figure out how to deliver the content and get you guys the information you need. We're going to be doing the same thing. There's a little bit of a learning curve for how we're going to be able to deliver this both in person and virtually so that you guys can experience it both live in person, or you can experience it via Zoom, however that you wish to do it. But one of the things I do know, one of the most impactful things about this business is the sense of culture, the sense of community, and the sense of Havre that we've talked about over the last several weeks, right? In bringing people together to help them get through the market of the moment, to help them best leverage the best version of themselves, to look at the holistic person and leaning on your community to help you be the best version for your clients, right? And when we take a look at the holistic person and we take a look at exactly how we can lean on each other to be the best version of ourselves, your clients will get the best version of yourselves and your family will get the best version of yourselves. So we're figuring this out. And I know that being back in person and creating a sense of culture and community is super important and super vital. So we welcome you back into any of the locations as we learn to stream these, and then we'll continue to deliver the content virtually as well for those that need it virtually. All good there, right? And we talked a little bit about this, and I've talked about it, and I keep harping on it, is this small groups, the concept and practice of Havre, right? In bringing people together that builds the, an emphasis of egalitarianism where that builds on the concept of social equity, prioritizing it for all people, depending on participation by the entire community. And that's why it's so important we talk about culture, community, and Havre, right? And we're stoked to have everybody back in person here, whether it's in the North Shore, whether it's over in Tosa or the group over in Lake Country. And we're going to figure out a way to deliver the content for you guys virtually and in person. All right. I've touched on this a lot lately, and I'm going to continue to hammer this home. And we've talked a lot about our belief system lately, and with the addition of E, right, we have the Y4C2TEs, and E's being equity and opportunities for all. And I thought it was important for me to give you guys a little bit of a history lesson this morning, right? Many times, and I'll even use myself as an example. I graduated from high school almost 20 years ago, and there was something that really wasn't taught much in school, and I actually learned about it when I was driving a beer delivery truck in and around Milwaukee, and I had an opportunity on several occasions to deliver beer to a festival that I really knew nothing much about. And so I'm going to use that portion of history in my life to give you a little bit of a history lesson for today and how it ties back to our belief system, really around equity and opportunities for all, right? So here's my history lesson for you. It wasn't something that I really knew much about until I started studying it, and I was introduced to this festival years ago. Probably 10, 15 years ago was my first kind of introduction to it. Here's the history lesson for you this morning. The Emancipation Proclamation was the abolishment of slavery, which was drafted on September 22nd, 1862. Yet what most people think and believe is that slavery ended as soon as the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, which is actually incorrect. It actually persisted for many years after the proclamation. Why? Because it had to be driven out locally by state, town by town. So it took years for Union soldiers to enter into historic Confederate-run states in order to enforce the proclamation. Then on June 19th, 1865, Union General Gordon Granger proclaimed freedom from slavery in Galveston, Texas, by order number 3, right? And what's important in all of this is we're celebrating Juneteenth Day on this Saturday, June 19th. It's now considered America's second Independence Day, right? It's celebrated on the third Saturday in June. It's a celebration of African-American culture, typically centered around food and gathering. And in the state of Wisconsin, it is recognized as a state-driven holiday, right? I know in Milwaukee specifically, they will be celebrating the 50th anniversary of Juneteenth, the Juneteenth Day celebration. There is a parade. It runs, I believe, from 9:30 in the morning till 4:30 in the afternoon on Martin Luther King Drive here in Milwaukee. But it's an important history lesson for people to understand and for people to recognize, because so many people have a misconstrued or misunderstanding as to what Juneteenth Day is or when slavery really ended. And so I give you a little bit of a Cliff Notes version of exactly what June 19th, 1865 meant, and the time it took for slavery really to end. And so that was kind of a little bit of a history lesson for you. And the reason I bring this up is this year, Keller Williams, when they enacted when they added equities and opportunities for all in the Y4C2TEs, we are now, as a company, globally recognizing Juneteenth as a company holiday. I know that there is a big push for this to be recognized at a federal level as well, but we are going to be shutting down our offices across all over Milwaukee on June 18th in observance of Juneteenth Day. And I would encourage you to open your eyes, open your ears, open your hearts, learn more about the holiday, right? Take time to teach your kids, teach your loved ones. It's an important day that we must recognize in our company's culture, our company's history, our America's history, and things like that. But we're going to be closing the offices on June 18th, which is this Friday, in observance of Juneteenth Day. And I encourage you to open your eyes, open your ears, and open your hearts to learn more about it and share it with friends, family, and colleagues. So just a little bit of a history lesson for you there to start your morning. All right, a couple other things for you. We are super stoked to also be participating in Tour of America's Dairyland, which is the largest competitive road cycling series in the nation. And it is coming up here in Wisconsin over 11 days in 9 cities from June 16th to June 27th. We have nearly 1,100 male and female pro and amateur athletes from 40 US states and 15 countries. And it's an 11th year of world-class bike racing. We're very, very fortunate to this is coming to 2 of our communities locally. And I have 2 incredible people to share exactly what KW is going to be doing to participating in this and sponsoring this event coming up. So Britton, I'm going to flip it to you to start with what is going on over in Lake Country in Hartland.
Morning, everyone. So we were thrilled to have the tour right outside of our doors. As you can see on this map, KW in yellow is our office, and then the registration table and the start and finish line will be adjacent to our building. So this is the schedule that they have right on the screen right here. All day they start closing the road at 10 a.m. They start racing at noon. We will be having a photo booth on site from 4 to 8 p.m. with our KW backdrop, and then KW Lake Country printed on the photo strips for everyone to share with their families, put on their fridge, get our name out there. And then Team Trimble will also be sponsoring the water bottles for that day.
Cool. So guys, be on the lookout June 23rd, right at the front door of the KW Lake Country office. I have been to the Tours of America's Dairyland many, many times as I'm a cyclist myself. I love going to the event. If you want to check it out, it is right outside the office here at KW Lake Country with some awesome activation going on. Now I'm flipping it over to Kelly Nicolancy, who is super involved in Tour of America's Dairyland, and we are actually sponsoring one of the races in Tosa as we enter the Tosa market. Kelly, give us an update. What's going on in Tosa with the Tours of America's Dairyland?
Yeah, thanks, Charlie. The tour is 11 days, as you mentioned, and it all culminates on June 27th, Sunday, June 27th, with the grand finale in the Tosa Village Classic. As you can see from the map, there is going to be a great ride all through downtown in the village on State Street. This year, Keller Williams is sponsoring the kids race, which is traditionally always the highest, brings in the highest audience and brings in the largest spectatorship. That's all due to the men's pro race starting at 7 p.m. And then for those families that may or may not be participating in the kids race, it brings in a lot of people. And all of these races are generally just like one big, large block party. They also have a professional announcing booth. So the fact that Keller Williams' name will be announced over and over all throughout the kids race and leading up to the men's pro race, we are going to get a lot of coverage. That said, there are many opportunities. I am the co-chair and I'm also the volunteer coordinator. So there are many opportunities for volunteering in this. As you can see on the map, there are multiple crosswalks. There's 8 of them. I'm trying to recruit as many course marshals for this race. And as part of the course marshal, basically each crosswalk requires 2 course marshals. It's a great opportunity to wear a snazzy neon vest that says court martial on the back. You get a free t-shirt. And it's also a great way for you guys to wear some Keller Williams swag and get your name out there, promote your business, be a part of your community. It's a great time. And Shorewood is also hosting a race day too. So Milwaukee has a bunch of them. Hope to see you.
It's an incredible event with tons and tons of people who come out. And guys, I would encourage you to check out the Tour of America's Dairyland. We're very fortunate to sponsor 2 of the locations in both Tosa and Lake Country. And we're very fortunate. Kelly, thank you for bringing this opportunity to us as we give back to our communities and help continue to expand our footprint as we head into the Tosa market. So guys, if you're interested in volunteering opportunities, please reach out to Kelly. Kelly, shoot your contact information in the chat section. And if you have an interest in helping support the Tour of America's Dairyland, feel free to hit up Kelly and we'll get you signed up. Awesome, guys. All right, Lindsay Brannick, I'm flipping it over to you for Tech Tuesdays, and we're going to circle back around the concept of the golden letter SmartPlan. So, Lindsay, what do we got?
Well, just a reminder, you guys, we have the KW Realty MKE.com website. So we wanted to make a site that was just centered with all of the necessary resources that you need for your business, for all things KW Milwaukee. So you'll find our office rosters, you'll find a spreadsheet for preferred vendors. So feel free to go on there if you're looking for a certain contractor. If you want to add to that spreadsheet, you can as well. You'll see our office locations. You'll be able to put a face to a name for our leadership team that includes our launch coaching and productivity coaches. So a lot of really great stuff on here. So I highly, highly recommend utilizing this website as a resource. Make sure that you're bookmarking it on your personal laptops, your home computers, because we'll be adding more stuff to this, I'm sure, as we go along. You can also book a tech training with me through here. There's a button on the homepage for that. So you guys check this out. It's also got our updated training calendars on there as well. But as Charlie had mentioned, there is a specific SmartPlan centered around the golden letter. So this is a topic that we had touched on a few weeks ago. Chris from the Southwest office came on and spoke about a letter that she mailed to her database. Well, you guys, the digital version is already in command. It's completely built out for you, so you can utilize this SmartPlan for that. This is an excellent opportunity. It's a little bit more robust or more robust follow-up. So you can see on here, this is what the SmartPlan looks like. So when you're in command and you do a search, just search for golden letter, this is going to pop up. So you'll see the steps here. It consists of 1 email, 1 text message, and then 1 phone call. So it's recommended to add 15 contacts at a time, and you can stagger them to easily execute the call tasks when that task comes up in your task reminders in command. And the great thing about this is that you can customize that email and you can customize the text. So the scripts are already in there, but let's say you already sent out the mailer and you want to just copy and paste exactly what you had sent in the mail to this email, you can do that. Maybe you like the email a little bit better, but you can always tweak that. So the opportunities are there to make this fit your business. There's also a plain text version for the email and then a design template for the email. So if you wanted to, add more photos to the email, make it a little bit more pretty instead of just that plain text, you have that option. So there's 2 different SmartPlans. And again, you'll see that when you search golden letter, you'll see email, and then you'll see, I believe it's design template. So you'll see those 2 options when you're searching for it. So the next slide is just a little overview of what that email is going to look like with some of the verbiage. So as you can see, it's not super lengthy. It's very direct and to the point. But again, you can edit this. So if you want to ask, what's your magic number? Like I know Chris had in her letter, you can add that in here and make it a little bit more, geared towards what the communication that you want to send out. So let's say that you had a group of people that you mailed this to, but then you have a whole other group in your database where you don't have their mailing address, but you have their emails, you have their phone numbers. You can still set them up on this SmartPlan and reach out to those people as well. So you guys, no tech training today, but if you're interested in setting this up, schedule a one-on-one appointment or just stop in the office. I'm in Tosa all day today. Feel free to pop in. I've got some blocks of time that I'm available. I'm here. But otherwise, reminder, I have a Calendly link now. So you can schedule appointments online. You'll see that button in my email signature. So you can easily see where I'm at. You can schedule an in-person or Zoom appointment. And so it's super easy. You can add it to your Google Calendar as well. So just a reminder, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I'm at the North Shore office. Tuesdays, I'm in Tosa, and Thursdays, I'm in Lake Country. So you guys, highly recommend setting up these smart plans. This is an excellent opportunity to send that golden letter digitally.
Beautiful. Lindsay, thanks for bringing it up. And I'm going to give a big shout out to Mike Legend out in Lake Country. I heard through the grapevine, he sent out a golden letter to his database and sphere of influence, and he had 4 listing appointments from it already. And he has 2 listings taken exactly from the letter. So once you send the letter out, what does your follow-up look like? And is it automated? If not, I would check in with Lindsay and figure out how you can automate your lead generation and how to run your golden letter rule to take advantage of listings like Mike Legend did. Big shout out to Mike. Congrats on your success, brother. All right, the Sheriff Reed is on the call for our compliance update, and we have something for you guys around how we modify the definition of a defect to help you mitigate your liability. If I were to take notes on anything we talk about today, I'd be paying attention to Sheriff Reed, because we've spent a lot of times helping to define this to help protect you and protect your clients. So Joni Reed, it's off to you.
Thank you, Charlie. Good morning, everybody. Yes, we see a need for this in this competitive market. A lot of you feel that you're being forced to put your clients in a position that is a liability to them, and especially for first-time home buyers. There are some of these concessions to sellers that are very difficult for a first-time buyer. And the key one is the inspection contingency. Even the most experienced experienced buyers know the importance of an inspection and pay for the lack of an inspection in the years to follow after they move in. So this is a good way to sort of bridge the gap. It's a way to compensate and to incentivize the seller and still give a inspection right to your buyer. And the way we have come up with the wording is to define what a defect is. So say your buyer is willing to, wants a inspection contingency, but is willing to forego some of the smaller items that an inspector might find in a report and label as a defect. A GFY polar plugs, things like that, small plumbing things, small garbage disposal not working. These may be listed as mistakes or defects in a report, but the buyer says, you know, let's just skip all that. And I will say to the seller, the only thing that I'm going to refer to as a defect, if I have to file a notice of defect, is something that is more expensive than, and then he establishes a cost. So say he chooses $3,000. I'm not going to name anything as a defect if we get to that point that has an estimate of under $3,000. So what you're doing is adding to or modifying the definition of a defect. And the wording that we have coming from our legal counsel is listed on this slide. And I'll read it just because I want you to take note of the importance of each sentence in this, because each sentence was deliberated. For the purposes of the inspection contingency, a defect shall not include any condition with an individual or aggregate cost to repair or replace the identified condition that is, are less than, and that's where the buyer puts in the amount he's willing to concede, say $3,000. Estimates, and this is very important wording in here because there otherwise you come into all sorts of disputes. Estimates of costs for repair or replacement shall be obtained from qualified professionals or contractors selected by the buyer. Seller agrees to provide access to the property for the buyer to obtain such estimates. Buyer shall provide all estimates with the delivery of any notice of defects. The estimates are solely for the purpose of the buyer's right to submit a notice of defects, and this is important, shall not offset or reduce seller's obligation to cure and fully pay for the repairs of all defects identified in a valid notice of defect, which means you can still list defects, maybe that have estimates over $3,000. And this concession that the buyer is making does not offset the cost of any of those. So if the seller elects to cure the notice of defects that you have sent him, everything over $3,000, he still has to cure those defects and fully pay for all of the repairs. So this, go to the next slide. I think we just want to certify the fact that this will be eventually put in our clause library and the office library and zip forms. We can also make it available to any agents in a PDF. The length of this can be inserted into an offer to purchase under additional provisions, contingencies, but if it does not fit too long, attached to the offer as an addendum, and you can label the addendum anything you want. I just said addendum inspection. But we will be getting this into the clause library soon. If you're in the process of wanting to add this verbiage to an offer right now, contact me, call me, and I'll send you the wording in your emails. So we want you to be able to protect your buyers by getting an inspection, but also incentivizing the seller not to be expecting a long list of smaller defects. So any questions, give me a call or give Stephanie a call, and we'll be happy to sort this out for you. But other companies have been adding this, adding an addendum of their own. We reviewed many of them, and through our council, we decided that this was the wording that we wanted to use. So good. Any questions? Please let us know. Thanks.
Joni, thank you for jumping on and helping clarify. And I know that you, Kimmy, and Steph have been working in the background with our council to help provide a very clear understanding of this language. Guys, a couple things for you. One, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to Joni, to Steph, or to Kimmy with regards to this language. Two, we will also make sure that we get this into your hands immediately after team meeting through the KW Insights and Resources email that goes as a follow-up to the team meeting, so that you'll have this. And then we very soon and very shortly we'll have this updated in our clause library for you guys to automatically plug into play for what you need. Cool. Joni, thanks for your help on this. We appreciate all your hard work.
Thank you.
Guys, all right, now we got a quick vision, people, and opportunity update for you, and then I'm going to jump right into the market update for you because I know I rushed through it last week and there were some important things that I wanted to point out to you. But to start, let's get into some people updates for you around opportunity. This week, or last weekend, I should say, Real Trends, which is a company that partners around brokerage valuations, rankings. They do lots of various other things on the brokerage end. Real Trends partners with the Wall Street Journal to announce and to recognize the top 1,000 real estate agents across the United States. The top 1,000 real estate agents across the United States. Essentially, this puts you into the top 1% of all agents in the US. We were very, very fortunate to be in business with some incredible people and teams who were recognized in the 2020 Real Trends report, which I believe will be posted in this weekend's Wall Street Journal, or if it was, it may have been last weekend. I got to look. Congratulations. In the state of Wisconsin, you can see where these people and individuals, John Molitor for individual units was the #9 individual agent in the state of Wisconsin. For volume, he was number 31 for individual volume. Again, ranking in the top 1,000, and these rankings are in for the state of Wisconsin specifically. Small teams volume volume, which is small teams, are 2 licensed associates who can quantify a team. Big shout out to Bruce Gallagher, Kathy Rosenheimer, and their team of support for Gallagher Lake Country, ranking as the #1 small team in the state of Wisconsin. Medium team units is a team of 3 to, I believe, 5 agents. And I'm not exactly sure the categories in which all of these fall in and where people move up or move down across the teams. But medium teams, big shout out to Charlie Hutchinson, Jonathan Newby, and the Houseworks Collective team is the number 27 medium team units in the state of Wisconsin, qualifying them for the top 1,000. For medium team volume, Team Trimble came in at #1 in the state of Wisconsin. For a large team, moving up now to large teams closed units for 2020, Falk Groove and Gallagher was #7 in the state of Wisconsin. Stale Realty Group right behind them at #8. And when you look at large team volume, Falk Groove and Gallagher was #2 in the state of Wisconsin, and Stale Realty Group #5 across the state. Again, everybody qualifying across the top 1,000. And big shout out to JSG, the J Schmidt Group, for mega team units, closed units in 2020. They were #2 in the state of Wisconsin, yet most importantly, they were #1 in the state of Wisconsin across all brokers, agents, and everything else for closed team volume in 2020, according to the RealChem's report, which will be posted to the Wall Street Journal. So big shout out to Molitor, big shout out to Bruce and Kathy, Charlie Newby and the rest of their team, Kathy Popovich, Karen Trimble, and the rest of the group from Team Trimble, Falk Groove and Gallagher, led by Katie, Rick, and Molly. Maureen, Martha, and the team with Stale Realty Group, and the entire group from Jay, Janine, Chris, and the rest of the J Schmidt Group. Congrats on your guys on being recognized in the top 1,000 real estate agents across the country. And you can see here where everybody places in the state of Wisconsin, broken out by segments. All right, next up, we're super stoked to hire an intern this summer. And very similarly as to how I got my start in the real estate business, Katie Falk hired me, I think, in 4th or 5th grade to stuff envelopes for her. And I would put postage and we would do a bunch of stuff, and she paid me. And then I took the money and went right to Winkies with it. We're super stoked. Naomi Spellman, congrats. We are hiring Naomi to be our summer intern here and to work directly with Sydney Warner at the front desk, where she's going to be learning all aspects of the brokerage. She's currently a junior at University School of Milwaukee and absolutely a killer tennis player. So I have a soft spot in my heart for her as a tennis player. We're super stoked to have her on board. She will be here Monday through Thursday in the afternoons to working directly with Sydney. And hopefully we're sparking her interest in a career in real estate. And a big shout out to Natasha Duvall, as this is Natasha Duvall's daughter. So congrats, Naomi. And if you see her in and around the office, please give her a shout, give her a hug, and welcome her into the North Shore as our summer intern. All right, next up, guys, I know we announced this last week. I just wanted to make sure everybody saw the announcement. We are super stoked to welcome Kathleen Wooten as our new Director of Training and Education and Relocation across all of KW Milwaukee, serving all locations. You can see the responsibilities and what she's going to be helping us do. But if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to Kathleen. She's a phenomenal resource for you. And just to give you a little bit of a sneak peek and to plant a seed for you, we are starting a new program called the Accelerator Program that Kathleen and Mandy, Diana, and myself are helping build out. And it's not just for new folks. We're going to be focusing on all phases of production, and be on the lookout for more news across what we're calling the Accelerator Program that Kathleen will be spearheading here in the next several weeks. So stay tuned. All right, guys, we're getting into the market updates, and I'm going to give you some information and some insight that last week I think I went through a little bit too quickly, and I provided it with some updates as to this week as well, to give you an idea of what is going on in the market, because I have one major concern for this group. And my major concern for this group is what happens. Today is the first Tuesday of summer holiday or summer vacation for many of the kids who are out of school. And what happens in June, July, and August is many agents take their foot off the gas pedal. And my concern is if you take the foot off the gas pedal now, you're going to miss major opportunities for you in building your business, right? And I'm going to help you understand why I think you shouldn't take your foot off the gas pedal as we head into June, July, and August, because the time is not to take your foot off the gas pedal just yet. And here's why. When you look at it across showing time activity across the state of Wisconsin, we continue to outpace where we were in 2019. We're still slightly behind where we were in 2020. I truly believe this has We're hurdling the slingshot effect of what happened after the stay-at-home orders last spring. So again, as I look at it, I like comparing everything to 2019 to see where we are, and it's still a considerable major difference in terms of buyer demand and buyer activity in the marketplace versus 2019. Now, here is the days on market as well as months of supply inventory across the southeastern metro area. Okay, and I shared this last week, but I'm going to go into it a little bit more detail. A balanced market, if we had balanced market activity, we would have 6 months of inventory. In May of 2019, we had 2.5 months, which was almost an all-time record low. In May of 2021, we pretty much shattered that record. We're at 1.2 months of supply inventory. It is down 51% versus 2019, right? It's the lowest months of supply inventory we have seen in over 2 years, or over the last 2 years. Now, what you see in the corresponding blue line is the days on market activity. And we'll go into the days on market activity here in the next slide shortly. Essentially, what you can see is the impacts of demand and supply pressures are having on months of supply inventory, and then the impacts it's having on the days on market, right? It is significantly being reduced. It's probably not a shock to anybody as you're feeling it in the marketplace as we stand. Now, when you look at days on market activity, couple things to note. When we look at May of 2019, which was already one of the most incredibly robust markets in residential real estate's history, we sat at 39 days on market. In May of 21, we had 25 days on market, okay? What's happening is homes are selling at a rate of 38% faster than they were in 2019. And for perspective, it was one of the best residential real estate markets on history, right? Now, we understand all of that. Now let's take a look at sales absorption, okay? Sales absorption is the percentage of inventory that goes under contract. It's truly an indication of demand, right? In May of 2019, it peaked at 27%. In May of 21, the sales absorption rate in May of 2021 was almost 43%. It's the highest it's been in 2 years, and it continues to peak. Here is a word that I want you to pay attention to over the next several slides, is the word apex. Peaking is synonymous with apex, okay? What you're seeing here is sales absorption rates are beginning to apex, right? But we haven't reached the apex yet, and here's where I'll show you. Okay, now we're going to units under contract. Here's what you need to know. Units that are going under contract in 2019, the market apexed, which means it peaked in May and June of 2019. Then what happened was, as we hit the summer months and into the fall months, it really hit our valley, right? We talk about peaks and valleys. So the apex of the market in 2019 was May and June of 2019. And then what happened? Okay, you could take your foot off the gas a little bit. The market was beginning to soften. And as it always does every year, December typically is one of the slowest months of the year, where then you ramp back up heading into spring and summer, right? However, last year we had a little bit of a shift in the apex, or a shift in the peak of the marketplace. Last year, the apex of the market happened in July and August of 2020. Now, what we didn't know heading into this spring is the residual impacts of everything that's going on globally. But we also didn't know is how is the market permanently going to shift after what happened in 2020? Well, here's what we're starting to see is we are rising to the apex, but we have not hit the apex. And how do I know that? Well, here's what I know. When you look at it on a weekly basis, and this is still looking at the same metric, this is units under contract, right? We've seen 10 weeks in a row of 600 plus units that have gone under contract. When you look at it last week there were 744 units that went under contract. It was the most units that went under contract for a single week in 2021. My point being is if May, or specifically June, was the apex of the market in which we had historically seen it, if you go back going 17, 18, 19, May and June was the apex of the market, you would start to see units under contract leveling off, or even starting to possibly decline at this point in the year. We haven't seen that. We're seeing record numbers week over week as we continue to report these on a weekly basis for units under contract. So I think the market is from a historical perspective, I think the market is shifting in terms where the peak market really plays. Here's also what I know. When you look at new inventory units, and this is across a 2-year period, right? The apex of the market of when new inventory comes in the marketplace is the apex of the market is May and June, and that was May and June of 2019. Now, if we look at the shifting market of what happened in 2020, the apex followed similarly to what units under contract shifted to July and August. New units coming to the marketplace last year in 2020 apexed in July and August. So where am I going with this, and what do I believe is happening? Very similar thing to what we reported around units under contract, right? When you look at it on a weekly basis, here is now the weekly basis of new inventory units, right? If you look 2 weeks ago, there were 886 new units that came to the marketplace. It was essentially the highest single week of new inventory that came to the market of any given week in 2021. And if you look at it, we've had a little bit of a yo-yo effect where the market is kind of bouncing up and down, but every time it goes down, it's higher than the last time it went down. So if you see here, I mean, where I'm using this as an analogy is we went from 837 to 732, we went to 886, we went to 758. If we're using a similar trends that we've seen over the last 2 months, we should see a bounce back week. Again, 800 plus units is what I'm predicting in new inventory units this current week that we're in. And I don't believe that we've apexed yet on new inventory units on a weekly basis. So where I think is happening is instead of the apex of the market happening May and June as we had historically seen it, I think the apex of the market is coming July and August as we had seen in 2020. I think the market is going to act very similar to what we saw in 2020. So be prepared for that, right? Now, when we look at total inventory over a 2-year span, again, when you look at it, total inventory is down 33% versus May of 2019. However, yet it is beginning to rise. We hit rock bottom in February of 21. We are beginning to rise again as new inventory is really bouncing back, right? We are in a recovery mode. If you break this down on a weekly basis, you can see here from a bell curve standpoint or an inverse bell curve, we are starting to pick up momentum. We're on the upswing. Last week, there were 4,492 total inventory units for sale on the marketplace, which was, if you go back to March and, even February would look worse or, total. But my point being is that we're on the upswing in all of this. And the reason we're on the upswing in all of this, and my message to you is you can't let your foot off the gas as we head into June, July, August. I firmly believe, based on all indicators that we are looking at, that the market is going to peak or apex again in July and August. And we have to be ramping up our activities now today as we sit here on June 15th to take advantage of the market of the moment. And if you take your foot off the gas and you go enjoy the pool, or you have a little margarita a little too early and you're not paying attention to your clients, guess what? Somebody else is going to pick up the business. So in the market of the moment and where we are and what we're doing, I implore you to put your foot on the gas right now on your activities that are going to lead to your results for July and August, because I firmly believe the market will be apexing in July and August, similarly to what we saw in 2020. And then I foresee it continue to be a very strong fall market as well. There you go, guys. That's my market of the moment. That's what I see in the numbers. That is where I see the dominoes kind of ticking and where everything is happening. As a reminder, here is the script around the dominoes that need to fall to help people understand what is going on in the market of the moment. And here's the grocery store pitch around the demographics, to what to make of the demographics and why there's such strong buyer demand within the market. Both of these scripts will be sent out in the KW Insights and Resources email. They're sent out from myself and Diana immediately after team meeting. And be aware, we'll also make sure to get you the stats that we discussed this morning as well for your review. All right, guys, we're finishing it up with upcoming trainings and events, and I'm going to flip it over to Mandy Cotty, who's live down in the North Shore Training Group with a bunch of people to give us what is coming up in the upcoming trainings and events. Mandy, it's off to you.
All right, good morning, everyone. So I am down in the training room. They're in there. I'll go out there after. We'll see everyone who's out there live, but still figuring out the sound and everything. So appreciate y'all coming in today. One thing that I don't have a slide for that I just heard about this morning is the WRA is launching a mini series all about being competitive, and it starts a week from today. And Kathleen shared this with me. There's some fantastic topics in here, so I'll make sure to get it out to you guys. But it's 2 episodes weekly in this mini series. all about dear seller letters, sight unseen offers, multiple offers, a whole session on the no inspection contingency, cash offers, all these things that we're seeing in this new market that's going to help you be really competitive. So I'll make sure to include more details on that in the insights and resources email. But even if you don't attend all of these, there are 6 sessions and they're all really, really great topics that we haven't really done any trainings or had to really work with that much. So definitely something to check out. Launch coaching is today. It's going to be both virtual and in the training room. We actually have some special guests. We have Andy Stillman and the sheriff, Joan Reed, are going to be taking over launch this morning. So they're going to be talking all about fact-finding discussion and winning an accepted offer. So join them down here in the training room or virtually right after team meeting today. And then we also have productivity coaching Thursday. Janine and Connie, if you want to pop on and let us know what to expect on Thursday.
Yeah, so last Thursday, you guys, a really record number group. So I was really happy to see everyone's faces because, as I say, you can't have $1 million dream with a minimum wage work ethic. So thank you for showing up. This week, we are going to discuss the home inspection process. We're going to look at a home inspection report. Everyone will have their own copy. And together as a group, we are going to be writing a home inspection amendment. This was asked by several people, and I thought this is a good chance to go over everything, as well as follow up on last week's lead generation activity and assignment that we had. So I hope to see you all on Thursday, 9 o'clock, Market Center. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Janine. Great, next slide, Charlie. All right, just a few things to highlight this week on the training calendar other than those great events is we have 2 happy hours this week. We have also a really great on-site with Paul Nikolic happening tomorrow. We're gonna send out the address, but he's gonna meet everyone at a listing that he has and walk you through what he does when he meets with a buyer and shows them a home. So kind of a really great field trip now that we can be in person again to kind of go through what that process looks like for some of you new agents and a little refresher on maybe how Paul does it or some other people do it who found a lot of success. So we'll make sure we get that address out to you, email, text, and in that insights and resources. Right after that, we're doing a happy hour at the new TOSA Innovation. So 3:30 to 5 tomorrow. And then we're out in Lake Country for cocktails, 3:30 to 5 on Thursday. And there it is. Here is the address also for Paul's special thing. It's 2501 West Hemlock Road in Glendale. And again, that's tomorrow at 1. Last but certainly not least, mega camp dates have been released. So for those of you who are new, we do 2 national events every year. We have mega camp and family reunion. We're gonna have some really fun things coming up down the pipeline where we're gonna do some things live in Milwaukee. We're looking at some really exciting things for us to all be back together despite not being able to all go to mega camp in person in Austin this year. So mark your calendars. This is really just to save the date for the 23rd and 26th, and then we'll fill you in on some really exciting stuff that our committees are working on to get some fun events and get you all together here in Milwaukee on August 23rd.
Cool. Well, guys, thank you for taking part in this morning's Tuesday team meeting. For those of you who showed up, the world is run by those who show up. Thank you for participating. We're going to continue to try and rebuild our culture and community here as we're allowing people back into the offices, the training centers, and everywhere else. Guys, thank you. If there's anything you need, please don't hesitate to reach out. Lake Country crew, I'll let you jump off to the Lake Country meetup. North Shore and TOSA crew, I will convert over to new listings and buyer needs. Guys, have a phenomenal week. Anything you need, don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks, guys.